Boker Tov, we're at the start of the second Perek, second out of 4, Masechet Megila. Hakoret Megila lemafreya lo yatsa. If a person reads the Megillah backwards, it's not yotzeh, which means if you read the last pasuk, so there's a few ways of backwards. There's literally the last word to the second last word to the third last word. So you read it even out of order in a backwards way. Or if you read it pasuk by pasuk, in a backwards way. Or if, let's say, I read the 10th Perek, and then the 9th Perek, and then the 8th Perek, etc. That is all not yotzeh in that situation. Kira al peh, if you read it by heart. So you read it properly, but you didn't use the Megillah, you read it all by heart. So that's going to be not yotzeh. We're going to see the end. Kira targum, bechol lashon lo yatsa. So if you read it by heart, or if you read it in a translation in any language, and the key is here that the people don't understand that language, meaning we're going to see in Ashurit, in the proper way, even if someone doesn't understand the Megillah, he still fulfills the mitzvah. But if he reads it in a different language and the people don't understand that language, then it's not yotzeh. Aval korinota leloazot belaz ve'aloez shama shurit yatsa. But I'm not sure how it will work out these days and how this would look. I've never seen anyone or heard of anyone that does something like this. But the Mishnah says, if you read it to people that speak, let's just say Russian, and you read it in Russian to Russian speakers, then you'll be yotzeh. And the Mefarshim said, because the main thing is, Pirsumin said, to show off the miracle of Purim. Now, how does that work as far as, what type of Megillah, or like, is it just a translation, a book? I'm not sure. I've never heard of anyone that did this, but technically the Mishnah says, definitely is further looking into on this point, but the Mishnah says to read it for people that understand a language, and you're reading it in that language, you are yotzeh. Ve'alo is sheshama shurit yatsa. But if a person who only understands Russian or only understands English, and they read it in the Hebrew in the regular way, even if he doesn't understand, he is yotzeh. Kera'as sirugin umitnamnem yatsa. If you read it, the second Mishnah, sirugin, you read it in pieces, which means sometimes when a person reads the Megillah, let's say, just like reading the Torah, sometimes you pause for a minute, to cough or whatever, there's noise, or so you pause for a minute. Now, how much of a pause is considered? Oh, that's too much of a pause. So the Mishnah here says, if you read it with a pause, and the Mefarshim say, even if the pause is the amount of time to read the entire Megillah. So now you read the Megillah, let's say halfway through, let's say there's a medical emergency. So everyone pauses, and there's 2 or 3 people dealing with the emergency, everyone's kind of just waiting and quiet. And that takes 20 minutes, let's just say. Everyone's just waiting and quiet, so it's still going to be yotzeh, you'll still be fine, even if the pause was longer than the time it takes to read the Megillah, but everyone is, again, not talking or still in the mode of Megillah, even if the pause is long, it's still yotzeh. Or a case of mitnamnem, the person reading it is half asleep. So how does that work? So the Gemara says he's still reading, but he's falling asleep, a little on and a little off. So the Gemara says, and we learned this, where if the level of sleep is, if you call his name, and you say, Moshe, he responds, yeah, right. But if you talk to him about something, he won't remember afterwards what you spoke about. So it's a middle ground, where he knows he'll remember, yeah, you called me something. What do we speak about? Oh, I forgot, right? So a person's reading, and he falls asleep, and wake up, oh, who Achashverosh, right? So even though it was like that, it's still yotzeh. Believe it or not, there's a rabbi in Israel, actually a very famous rabbi, and a very well-known rabbi, and he often, it's like a known thing. I once went to his shiur, I was so shocked, like he would fall asleep in the middle of the shiur, and then no one even needed to wake him up, but after 30 seconds he'd wake up and continue from where he was going. And it happened 5-6 times in the shiur, and the people told me it's a regular thing. It's, either sleep deprived, I don't know what it is, but it's a very regular thing, and he dozes off in the middle, and then like 30 seconds he wakes up and like as if everything's going. Very, very interesting. Okay. The next part of the Mishnah, Hayakotva, Dorsha, umagiha. Im kiven libo yatsa. If a person, let's say, writing a Megillah, Purim, and he was at shul or whatever, he wasn't at shul, and now let's say he's writing the Megillah. And while he's writing, he's reading it along. Vahi bime achashverosh. If kiven libo, if he had intention to be yotzeh, the mitzvah of Kriyat Megillah, and he did the entire Megillah, he's yotzeh. Or also, dorsha, he is giving a drasha. So let's say he's at home, he has the Megillah, he tells his kids, Vahi bime achashverosh. Hu achashverosh, hamolech me'od u'akosh. So he's reading the whole thing from the Megillah, but not in a way of like reading over the kahal, but more of like a drasha style. But he's still reading the entire thing, yotzeh. Or magiyah, corrections. Let's say someone comes to someone after and says, look, I have a Megillah, I'm not sure if it's kosher or not. Can you please check it for me? So he's going through it. And he has intention to be yotzeh the mitzvah. Oh, this is a little bit, so he doesn't talk, but he scratches out a little bit, or if you're doing it like that, it's still yotzeh. V'im lav lo yatzeh. But if he did not have those intentions, he is not yotzeh. The last part of the Mishnah, hayta ketuva. Now the Mishnah goes through different types of inks that are not kosher, and then it tells the one that is kosher. Hayta ketuva besam, ubasikra, ubakumus, ubekankantum. If he writes with all these types of inks, so some are sap or syrup, and some are from different plants, but they're easily to be erased, or different, the color is a little bit red. These are the different explanations here. And he used those inks, ala niyar, vela diftera, on paper, or different type of writing, let's say a piece of wood or whatever, not on parchment, lo yatsa. Those two, that type of situation is not yotzeh. Ad shetektuva ashurit ala sefer ubadio. It has to be written in the proper language, the Megillah, and on the book, which is referring to leather or parchment, and dio, the proper type of ink. So that is how the Megillah is supposed to be written. Okay, that's that for today. We will continue Bezrat Hashem tomorrow. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha u'Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu l'zakot et Yisrael lefi rachei ba'adam karam so shneimar Adonai hafetz man tzidko yagdil Torah ve'yadir.